morning. I'm Kathy with One Day at a Time, the podcast. So welcome. Today I am talking about living brave. How do we live brave in our days, in our lives, in our existence, and how we move with everybody else in this world? How do we do this when it's so scary out there? It is a scary world, and today even heightens it when we're living in this COVID existence and what is right, what is wrong, wearing a mask over our mouths and our nose to make sure that we don't spread a disease to somebody else. And, sometimes that disease is living inside of us. And, that disease could be called maybe shame. Shame is something that lives and breathes in most of us, and it causes us to continue with a behavior that is not really true to what our heart believes. So one of my first nays is to trust your heart. Our horses want us to trust our heart. They want us to move in our bodies to how our values are in line with our hearts. And, that's really hard for most people. I'm not sure I can even say maybe everybody, because we judge ourselves. We look at, I look at, the things that I've done in my life. I look at how I talk to somebody, how I act with somebody, how I, how, let's say alcohol, that was my thing. How have I lived with alcohol and all the things that I did in that state of drunkenness, and made many, many mistakes. I hurt many people. I crossed boundaries. I wasn't in line with my values of who I am. I gave myself permission to not be that person that I knew that I could be, because I had alcohol in my system, because that played with my mindset, because that gave me false courage to go and do something that I wouldn't normally do as a sober person. And when I was in that state, I had no idea what this sober person could be like. I would see somebody else do something that I had done and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that. I can't believe that that's the type of person that, who would do that? And then I'd have to sit back and go, wow, me, I did that. I crossed that line and I crossed that boundary, or I let other people cross that line and cross that boundary. And drinking gave me an excuse to be somebody I didn't want to be. And what kept me stuck in that, kept me really, really stuck, is the cycle of shame and guilt and, this gremlin on one side, the naughty Kathy, or, the side that says, you are not worth it. You are, oh my God, the things that you've done, who would want you? Who would want to be with you? You'll never change. That part is who you are now, and you might as well just keep sinking into that cyclone of, of change, of abuse and neglect and guilt and all those things that you tell yourself that you've done, and who you start to believe that's who you are. And then you find, and finally something, whatever your bottom is, you figure out that this is not the life I can live anymore. Some people, choose that they can't do that. I couldn't live that life anymore, or I would die. And, my bottom wasn't that I went to jail. My bottom wasn't that, my family kicked me out of the house. My bottom was, I really, really felt, knew, and was told by a doctor that I was dying. And I had to to look at every aspect. I had to really let that sink in, and it took years, not just like an aha moment. I went to the hospital. They told me I was an alcoholic and that I was dying. I had to actually feel it inside my body. I had to watch and see the signs of it in order for it to click in me. So that was shameful. That's shameful for me to look at. Why wouldn't I just take one moment? Because, one time of thinking I was dying of a heart attack after a drunk night, going to the emergency center and then being put in an ambulance and going to the hospital, and them telling me, and my children coming up and crying because, Mom, what are you doing to yourself? And then to go home and say, I got this. I'll just drink less. And then, of course, the less was, I drink maybe a 6-pack, or I drink only this, or I drink only that. And the entire time I was doing all those little changes, I started to drink more and more and more and more. Or it was constantly on my mindset that, oh, this is my second beer. I better drink it slowly. I would play games with myself, drink the water in between, whatever it was, but I went back out drinking. I went back out major drinking, and after that instant, I became, my body became needing it. And that's what was happening when I was thinking I was having a heart attack, is my body was telling me, you need alcohol in order to survive. And what I needed was to get sober in order to survive, but I didn't know how to do that on my own. So the shame of all that, kept me drunk longer, kept me in this hole of I'll never be able to live a life sober. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how to do it. I don't know if I'll survive even. Will I even like shrivel up and be a nobody? I mean, my mindset was really telling me that I could be nobody if I was sober. And living in that judgment of myself, living in that shame of myself, carried on to my sober living life. I still can drive down a road and pass a place that I used to party in, and that shame can just fill me up, and I could start to feel sad and angry and like that gremlin on the side of my shoulder is telling me, yeah, that's who you are, Kathy. Don't ever forget that. And I have to remember that the spiritual side of me says, you've changed. That isn't who you are today. You're a better person. You know how to get out of that. You know how to tell that other gremlin to go away. See you, bye. And this is the gremlin that this is the person that you are today. This is the spiritual, person. This is the spiritual side of yourself. Stay here, stay there. And that's who we need to move around with on our shoulders. Is it okay to look at this side every once in a while? Is it okay to view myself? Yes, that keeps me sober. But it's not okay to live in that shame and guilt and the I hate you, you are not enough, you are not good enough, you'll never be good enough. All those words that we tell ourselves. And what Gestalt, and I'll Gestalt something, if I were to talk to my shame and go, I'm tired of you being in my life. I don't want you to be a part of my life anymore because you've kept me sick. You keep my mind sick, you keep my body sick, you keep the people that I care about. I'm giving my sickness to them. I want you out of my life, shame. I want you gone. And to really deep down to get into what shame does to you. What if shame was a person, what would you say to that person? That's a really clearing way to recognize that it's not something that you want in your life, that you need to really change that side of who you are and to accept that shame is a part of your life, but not to accept that shame runs and rules your life. So the other side of shame is maybe grace. grace and love and caring and all those kind of things. And I know that that is who I am too. And that is who I want to show up. That is the light that I want to shine when I walk around in life. I want to carry my head up high, and sometimes I carry it low. Sometimes I can be heavy and carry, the things that I've done in my past. And then I can find my light again. That's the good part of being sober, of having a mindset that says that, I'm worth it. I am enough. And I have to struggle to even say that, today still, I'm enough. I'm worth it. Gosh, you are a powerful woman. Those things, to say those things out loud is incredibly hard for me still to this day. You can be powerful. You are powerful. What are the words that you say to yourself? Are you telling yourself that you're full of shame? Are you telling yourself that you're worthless? Or are you telling yourself that you're a good human being, that you have a heart of gold? Whatever it is that needs to say out loud, it's important to, not only gestalt shame, but to also talk gestalt to your heart. What would your heart want to say to shame even, What does that want to say to each other? This disease, and I'm finding out that I'm an addict in all kinds of ways. I'm not just an addict to alcohol. I'm an addict to even a mindset. My mindset is, I'm addicted in my mindset, and it wants pleasure. It sometimes it doesn't think. I don't process everything right away. It goes back to, how can I get my pleasure right now, this minute? And that's an addict mindset. And, I know I have that. And I know that I need to stop and breathe and process what that pleasure, what that pleasureful feeling is. Is it something I really need, want? Or is it something I desire? Is it healthy for me? Is it healthy for me? That's probably one of my first things that I have to sit back and breathe. And, a person who does that breath, that can do that, can stop and think and breathe first before they respond, is a person who is learning to be in peace and serenity. And that's important for an addict who has a mindset that says, I want pleasure and I want it now. So, today, look at possibly your side of yourself, the gremlin, the shame gremlin, that keeps you stuck in a habit that is not healthy for you. And if the spiritual gremlin, or whatever you want to call your side, mine is spiritual, what would that want to say to that shame gremlin? What would it want to clear? What would its process be to tell it to, how to transform it into, a way to find healing? So, that's my thought for the day. That's my neigh for the day, as I always say, is, horses neigh that, follow your heart. Trust your heart. Your heart usually knows what's best for you, but your mind starts to take over, and horses don't have that mindset. They don't have all that thinking going on like we do. They follow their heart. If something's bothering them, they work it out right away, and they don't let it just linger inside of them. And, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Oh my, this shouldn't have happened. I can't believe that. I hope she doesn't come out there again and start doing that stuff and saying that crap to me again, because, I don't want that, They just say, okay, right now, I'm going to help her let that go. They even do that. They want to help us let things go. So, I'm grateful to work with horses. I'm grateful to know what Gestalt is even all about. And I'm grateful for a mindset that's in recovery today. So thank you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you later.